My name's Cody, and today I'm going to teach you how to get on them slab crappie using traditional sonar methods. I know with the invention and the takeover with forward-facing sonar, hell, even we use it. I know with the invention of this, it makes it harder and harder for you to figure out how to go back to the basics and catch crappie. Today I'm going to show you how to use 2D sonar and side imaging sonar to find crappie, and we're going to put some in the boat. Y'all stick around. So one of the first things I want to go over and hit on is we're going to be using Humminbird electronics today, but the stuff I'm going to teach you today, it should be transferable across all platforms. So first thing you want to do is learn what you're looking at on 2D sonar. It can be not challenging, but there's some stuff that we need to go over first. So when we're looking at 2D sonar, you got to figure out what colors represent what on your screen. So I have mine set up in 175 by 225 kilohertz. Now that's just the factory setting. I've done nothing to adjust that. That's straight up 100% from the factory. I've never messed with 2D sonar. I find that it's just fine when it comes from the factory. Now, some cliff notes, the bar graph up here, this one you can pick the colors that you want, but usually on most standard 2D sonars, the denser the object, the darker the red the object will be. So when you're looking at stuff like bait balls, shad, stuff like that, it's gonna look a little more green, because on the spectrum of colors for this 2D sonar, green represents a medium dense thing, which 2D sonar is kind of like an ultrasound. It kind of goes through the fish. However, when it hits the bottom of the rock, it's hitting that hard substrate rather. It's hitting that hard substrate and echoing back up to your graph. So when you're looking at the graph, you can see down here we have red. That's the solid earth below us. We're at 12 feet deep, as you can see here, 13 feet depth. It's going to be going up and down. But you see on the green, or I'm sorry, on the bottom, there's all that green. That's the vegetation, that's the rocks, that's the fish, that's the things of that effect. Now, one thing we're looking for as we're cruising is we're looking for structure specifically for crappie. Now, if you'll notice, you have all these little dots, these little pings all through there. Those can be shad, those can be fish moving around. Typically, fish are going to be streaks because they're moving. So as they're moving, the sonar is hitting them and pinging back up to your head unit. It's showing the streak. Now, the streaks can also be a telltale sign of what you see. If it's got a flat face, it's usually catfish. If it's got a bigger body, sometimes it's a drum. What you're looking for on 2D is little ornaments, as we call it. Look for the structure that has ornaments all around it, which is very clear on side imaging. So as we're cruising, like I said, you want to look for structure. You want to look at stuff that's hugging the bottom that's going to be dense. And as you can see coming up on my screen, that looks like we're looking at a brush pile. So let's go over it and see. As we cruise, again, we're paying attention to the density. So see how it's red, but in the middle it's all green and light yellow? That's going to let us know, and there's greens in there as well, and blues. That's going to let me know that that is structure. Both of those are structure, and it's a really big piece of structure with some branches that come up and they exert off the ends there, right? And it's in this valley, which is super common when it comes to crappie fishing. You want to fish drop-offs this time of year. That's, again, what you're looking for. Now, once you're comfortable with your sensitivity, what you're looking at, things of that effect, we've identified, okay, this is probably a structure down at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to switch my views to side imaging. And so if you look, yep, right there, but see, we're zoomed out to 100 feet, so it looks really small, but right there is our target, right there. That joker right there, that little baby tree is what we're trying to look at. And so we have identified it on 2D, we've seen it on side imaging, so now you're asking yourself, well, how do I fish it? Well, if you have a Humminbird setup, this is what you can do. What we're going to do is we're going to hit that tree. We're going to touch that tree right there. Okay, we're going to kill our motor. Now, if you have a Humminbird setup with a Minn Kota trolling motor, they have what's called EyePilot or iLink, or EyePilot Link actually. So what I like to do is I'll throw my trolling motor, okay? Then I'll come back over to my deal. Again, we mark that tree. We're gonna hit real simple, go to, and it says go to cursor. That's what we want. Hit the check mark. What's gonna happen is your trolling motor is gonna start driving over to that structure. Now, we're 277 feet away, so it's going to take a second. I'm going to let it drive over there and I'll pick you up once we're at the structure. So some things to keep in mind while it's driving is, one, the cursor will not move. Once you freeze the screen is locked. You actually have to hit the play button up top to go back and make it start charting again. When you stop it, you can actually you can take your fingers and you can zoom in on a spot. You can also take your fingers and scroll up, and it will scroll back through everything that you have already viewed. Again, none of this is happening while we have it locked into a spot, because again, we're telling it we want to go right there. Now we're 142 feet away. So once it gets to where you have it marked, it'll start to incrementally slow down. So right now I have it set to 7.5 speed. As we get up to the structure, what will happen is the trolling motor will start to slow down, slow down, slow down. When it gets within, me personally, when it gets within 30 to 50 feet is when I stop it. Usually 50, and the reason is your boat is coasting, okay? It's still moving. So what I'll do is I'll turn my trolling motor off at 50 feet. I usually give it 1 or 2 seconds, and then I'll spot lock it. What that usually does, it usually gets us within about 30 feet of the pile. So right now we're at 40 feet, so look, I'm gonna turn it off, and then I'm gonna give it just a second, I'm gonna spot lock it. And so what that just did is stop the drift, and then it gave the trolling motor time to figure out where we are, gave the compass time to figure out where we are, turn the trolling motor, as you can see there, see it zooming in, or I'm sorry, not zooming, it's zooming around, and then it's going to stop right on that crosshair that we had on the screen. Now, if you have a live scope, this is when you would deploy the live scope, then start scanning left and right. But today's not about live scope. So one thing I like to do is, if you have the ability to this honestly is my opinion, I just cast out there until I hit the structure, then you can hit the structure. The other option you have is you can throw your screen on side imaging, you can go past the tree, and as you go past it, throw out a marker buoy. Then it'll roll down and you'll know exactly where that tree is. It's just 2 options for you. For today's purposes, and so y'all can see what I'm talking about, I am going to put the scope in the water just so you can see what I mean by the coast and the drift and the stop. So give me 1 second, let me deploy that, and I'll show you what it all looks like. Okay, so I've deployed the scope again so y'all can see it, and look, that tree is right there at 20 feet in front of us. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you on my chest, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit power on this. I'm gonna go sleep mode on the old scope. So we know it's 20 feet in front of us, and this is where getting real familiar with your casting distances comes into play. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cast it about 20 feet out. I'm just gonna let it drop. I'm gonna drop it down, drop it down, drop it down, drop it down. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to feel for that structure. Again, this is if you're on an all new body of water, don't know where you're at, don't know where nothing's at. I got some weight on there, and I'm just gonna kind of drag it across the bottom until I hit that tree. Now, another option that we have is, we know based on our hummingbird, let me walk back here. Y'all say, what's up, Louie? I'm gonna walk back here to the hummingbird. We know we're in 22 foot of water, which is kind of deep. It's kind of deep. For this time of year, it's actually perfect, but it's a little bit deep. But what you can do, and why I'm saying is it's deep, is you can take out your slip cork. You can set that bobber to about, I would start at about 15 feet, and then drag it through that area to fish. Now, another maintenance tip that I'll give you is, once I get to where I'm going, so you can see there's this tree that's underneath us right now, I will actually go up here to the top right. I'll turn my sonar off. And the reason I do that, guys, is because the sonar on the back of the boat makes an audible tick, 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 non-stop. And anyone who fishes long enough knows that fish can hear very well. And in my opinion, stuff like that is what sets the difference between catching a ton of fish and catching a few fish. They can hear all these pingings, all these sonars, everything, even on the deck of the boat. Now, crappie I don't think are as skittish as bass and whites are, but they are skittish, and anything you can do to help definitely gives you a leg up. So what I would do is, again, I would set my bobber to about 15 feet. I would cast out minnows or worms, do fantastic, even crickets. I've done crickets before. Make sure you smash the subscribe button, because that's actually another video coming up. Or like I said, you can take your jig, drag it across the bottom, and you can hook up some that way. I'm going to try to find the tree again, so let's grab this pole, cast out there, and I want to show you what it's like when you hook into the tree. Okay, so it's taking me a second, but the boat is drifting because of the wind. Again, I'm casted out there. I'm like 10-15 feet from the boat. Guys, this is just a real rudimentary way to do this. This is how I've done it before in the past, but this is how I've always found structure the old-fashioned way. So that tree, again, I'm letting it fall all the way to the bottom, and I'm just going to kind of drag that jig across the bottom there, and hopefully I get, you know, hung up in that tree. The cool thing with like gold Aberdeen hooks is they don't always get stuck every time, which that works out great. So no dice on that one, but let me drop it back down there. I know based on my 2D that brush pile is somewhere right here in 15 foot. So again, I'm just casting and reeling, guys, just casting and reeling, trying to hook up with a Mondo. I'm gonna let it go all the way to the bottom as much as I can, and I'm gonna stop it like right in there. okay? And all I'm doing, again, I'm just trying to find out where this structure is, because once I know where the structure is, I can fish it. You can effectively fish it very well. But we know for sure, based on our sonar, it's somewhere right in here. I can feel, you know, I'm sitting on the bottom. I actually think I'm in the tree right now. Yep, so I can feel, yep, I'm on a branch right now. So okay, now I know exactly where this tree is. So that tree is just off our right side, about, I would probably give it 20 to 30 feet. So I didn't get stuck on the tree that time, but what I felt was the tree branches. And I know that that brush pile is sitting basically right there. So this is when, I forgot them at home, but this is when I would deploy either a marker buoy or pull your boat over there and drop your anchor, and that way you can stay right in this, or spot lock if you're using a spot lock, and you know there's a brush pile right there. This is when I would go with a slip, cork, and bobber method, again set to 12 to 15 feet, cast like 2 or 3 setups out there, probably 2 just because I'm by myself, but cast 2 or 3 setups out there, and guys, just get your dangle on, just wait for the fish to bite. It's that simple. All right, let's see how close I was. Ooh, super close. I said 25 feet, look at that, guys. Bazinga. Doesn't look like there's anything on it. But let's scoot back there and see. I do not have minnows or anything. The plan was, the intent today was to get minnows, do this, and then drop some bobbers down there. I got to the minnow getting place, guys. They were at a zero balance. They had none, and they were out of worms. And I said, well, this show must go on. I got to at least show people how to find and identify brush piles. So that's what I'm doing today. All right, at area number 2 for the day, and what we're going to do is talk about side imaging only. So how does side imaging work? So this is what it looks like, guys. I have my range set out to 100. Now, if you have your range set out to 100 feet, just know whatever you see is going to look small. Like right there, look at that. That is a mondo size brush pile. It's actually really good to see. So let's actually start right there. So we're gonna again mark it. We're gonna go over there to it, but what you would do is mark that. Now if you want to bring this range in, just hit your 3 little buttons over there, and on your range panel here you can shrink that joker way down. Let's go 50 feet, and watch how big this thing gets. See, look, bam, look at that 50-foot scan. And look at that, I don't know if y'all can tell, but it looks like there's a little bit of fish activity on that one. But that's what you're looking for, guys. So what are we looking at exactly? So when you're looking at side imaging, the area that's in black, okay, just the black, is the area directly beneath the boat. That is the water column. So if you're seeing stuff like that and like that, those are shad or fish that are directly suspended underneath the boat. Once you understand that, you'll understand the rest. So again, water column underneath the boat. Now, from here over is everything off the right side of the boat, and from here over is everything off the left side of the boat. So if I had a fish, or like that pile, see how it's in line with the 20-foot mark, I would cast 20 foot off to my right, because that sonar is hitting the bottom and then going over. So that looks good, and this actually looks like a bunch of beds right here. That's actually a bunch of fish. See those fish right there? Normally I can zoom in the screen, but I don't know why it's not letting me today, but that's a bunch of fish just suspended in there. This lake has really good hybrids in it, so it may be a hybrid. And then over here is a bluff wall. So see the shadow that it's casting off the left side? So what we have is the rock structure, and then you have these shadows that are over here. And then look, guys, see that shadow, that shadow, that shadow, that shadow, that shadow? That's either A, fish that are casting, the sonar's hitting it and casting the shadow because the sonar can't go through the fish, or it's B, rocks that are sitting on the bottom. But what we're interested in is this pile right here. So again, we're gonna mark it. And again, when I mark my structures, I don't mark out on them. I don't mark out here, I don't mark up here. You're gonna get off a little bit. I mark at the base of the structure. So we're gonna go right at the base of that tree or that bush or whatever it is. We're going to kill our motor, we're going to throw the trolling motor, and we're going to zoom over to that tree and see what we can get on over there. So boom, guys, just because I have the scope, I want to show you that's what it looks like. So that is a, what is that, 12 to 18, so 6 foot tall by 20 to 35 by 15 foot wide brush pile. So again, it looked small. I mean, look at it. It looked small because of how far out we were scanning. But once you get up to it, That's a substantial size brush pile. My boat right here is 20 foot long, 19, whatever. So 19 foot. It's double the size of my boat. That's how big this pile is. So again, I would throw my marker buoy. Once I side image, I wouldn't stop. I would continue to side scan. I'd see it, I'd throw my marker buoy, or I would spot lock right on the spot, hit go to, and then I would sit right here and I would fish around until I found the brush pile. But I have the scope, so we're gonna use it. Let's see if we can't catch a couple of slabs. All right, I got a spot locked right over this pile. I see a fish right on the edge. I'm just gonna see if I can pick this one up real quick. See what happens here. Now, the downside to this is I did go over the pile, which, you know, typically can turn off a pile because, again, they can hear all this sonar. But what I did do is I did turn off the sonar at the head unit. That way we don't have that tick, 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 tick going on. And then I'm just going to continue to drop down on this and see. I see a couple of fish out there. I see a couple out there. Let's see if we can't drop down on this one right here. Again, guys, today's more about technique than fish. I just wanted to give y'all a real look at it, but we're here, so you know, may as well try to catch a right there. May as well try to catch a couple. Oh, may as well try to catch a couple, especially if they're donkeys like that. You know what I'm saying? Woo wee. So saw it on side imaging. Look at, he was in the mud right there. So saw it on side imaging, dropped the trolling motor, got on the spot lock, dropped down, caught the fish, right? Boom, shakalaka. That's how you do it. I know. I'm using a scope, so I'm cheating, all this stuff. I know. Sorry, I'm hooked in the arm. I know. But I'll tell you right now, if we use the scope, they don't stay in the boat. I put all the fish back. There's still a couple down there. There's a real nice one right out there about 30 feet. Let's see if we can get on him. Well, what do you think, Big Lou? Huh? What do you think, Louie? Guys, big on knowledge today. Not every video has got to be about 1,000 catches. I really want to help y'all get on some fish using traditional sonar methods if you can, because I know not everyone can afford all the stuff that we have or have the want to. I know more people that want to learn the traditional standard methods first and build on those, which is totally commendable, and it's something we all should do. That way, when all this stuff goes away, we still know how to feed the family, right? Guys, I hope y'all pick something up. If y'all enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy this one, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Don't stop the dangle. Peace.